National Affairs Editor Javed Ansari is now joining us with more details. Javed, are we then expecting din in the House because the Samajwadi Party has once again made its stand opposing Lokpal clear?
Maha, I have a very eminent panel with me. I have on my left Mr. Shankar Aiyar of the Congress and Mr. Naresh Agarwal from the, Mr. Naresh Gujral, beg your pardon, of the Akali Dal. The BJP says that the Congress has set up the Samajwadi Party to oppose it, and that it's incumbent upon the Congress Party to get the Samajwadi to agree for the passage of the bill.
Rubbish. The Samajwadi Party is a difficult party to set up, and you just insulted my friend Naresh Gujral by referring to him as Naresh Agarwal, although that's probably the good reason for that, which is that Naresh Agarwal is in everyone's lips as totally disrupting Parliament. I would on this program like to beg this gentleman to please stop these antics and allow this bill to go through, preferably with a fair amount of debate on it, because it's an utterly serious matter, and it would be a great pity if we were to undermine our parliamentary traditions by having to pass such an important piece of legislation in the middle of disruption.
Nareshji, now with the NDA and the UPA, it's one of those very rare occasions in Parliament that both these major formations are on the same page. Now that they've agreed to the passage of the bill, would you be in favour of disruptive elements being marshalled out, or would you want this bill to be passed with everybody on board?
No, I think every political party is clear on one thing, that we do not want marshals in the House. We are parliamentarians, we must keep dignity and decorum in the House. But we do hope that the Congress Party would be able to persuade the Samajwadi Party. After all, when the government has to be saved, then they are able to persuade the Samajwadi Party as well as Mayawatiji's party. So they know the tricks of the trade. And if they really have, if their intentions are clear, then they would be able to have it passed. But NDA has said very clearly that debate has already taken place last year. Everybody knows the stated positions. So even if we have to pass the bill in the din, we have no objection. Let it be passed by a voice vote so that people get the act that they've been looking for.
Mani, would you agree? And the other question that everybody is asking is, why at the 11th hour you had so much of time to debate and discuss this? This bill ought to have been passed as early as of last year.
Of course, yes. But if you have been inside Parliament rather than sitting comfortably outside, you discover how this Parliament has been rendered completely dysfunctional by a fractionated opposition that is united only on determining that there should be no marshals in the House. The fact of the matter is that the rules of Parliament, which are made by members of Parliament themselves, are being virulently flouted, most importantly by the principal opposition party, that is the BJP, and may God ensure that they remain there forever, but also because of the very bad example they have set. All these chutmut parties are picking up on the same technique, and we have two members of Parliament belonging to a party that used to be important but is now really nowhere on the national scene or even the state scene, being able to hold up all of Parliament. And I frankly don't understand why the chair has to ask permission of the House to undertake what the chair intends to do. But the chair did that. It was denied by a minority of members of the House, those in the opposition. But for that reason, the marshals are not being used. This business of trying to maintain decorum by the behavior of the MPs themselves, it's the MPs who are not maintaining decorum. It's the MPs who are flouting their own rules. It's the MPs who are not changing the rules. If the MPs don't want marshals in the House, why don't they just go into the relevant committee and suggest that the provision for marshals should be removed? And unfortunately, we have the marshals. They're not being used by the chair. They are being used as an excuse by the members to completely wreck the reputation of Parliament in the country as a whole. If you have the emergence of a party like the Aam Aadmi, it has a great deal to do with the fact that the MPs themselves have behaved worse than school children. And therefore, when the country sees the way in which they behave inside Parliament, their dislike of all parliamentarians, of all political parties, of even democracy grows. And that is the single biggest danger our country faces. So in these circumstances, there really is no alternative to having a voice vote, although that would be very undesirable. And apparently there are 18 amendments. Those two will have to be voted out or voted in, as the case may be, in the middle of a day.
I need to interrupt you. The Lalu Prasad Yadav just was released from jail yesterday and he's spoken on the bill. We'd like to hear what he has to say.
लोकपाल बिल पे क्या आपकी मतलब राय है? समर्थन है और राहुल गांधी को क्या प्रधानमंत्री की रखने की मांग है? कांग्रेस के साथ अलायंस के लिए तैयार है क्या?
जरूर हम करेंगे।
तैयार लगता नहीं चार।
अरे आप कहाँ कंफ्यूजन में हो?
कांग्रेस की हार हुई उससे क्या?
कोई हार नहीं, फिर जीतेगा कांग्रेस।
Naresh, we just heard Lalu Prasad Yadav. He says, I'm in favor of this bill and this bill should be passed at all costs. Encouraging words coming from the RJD.
I think except two political parties, everybody else is on board now. So that is why, like my friend said, that if everybody is on board, come what may, it's sad that we will have to pass it by a voice vote. It should have been debated. But then, if it can't be debated, so be it. Let's pass it today.
So Maha, we have this convergence of views. If it can't be passed by convergence, at least pass it by a voice vote. That's what both Shankar Aiyar and Naresh Gujral are saying.